Hey guys, this is Leo from Big Time Super Friends, and I'm reviewing Oscar Best Picture winning Moonlight. Guys, Moonlight is a movie that I think deservedly won Best Picture because, quite honestly, it's a very honest movie. I really enjoyed how the movie was told, in the three acts being expressed by his different, what I consider his different phases of his life. Little being the first act, Chiron being the second act, and the third act, finally Black. Now, in the movie, I see a repeating pattern where they sort of reference back to the previous age in the last 5 minutes before the next act begins. And in each one, they're sort of introducing his next name. In the first one, they talk to him as Little, and now Little is becoming more self-aware of his surroundings, of what's really going on. His mom, he discovers she's a drug addict. This man that is sort of a father figure to him that he clearly doesn't have in his life or hasn't had in his life is a drug dealer as well. So drugs are a prominent theme in his youth, in this character Little. And he's also tested as far as his manhood. He's very quickly forced to understand that he can't show any weakness. He has to be strong. And by doing this, he can show the other kids that he belongs with them. And his friend Kevin, who we see this journey through the entire movie pretty much, helps him in that part of his life. He roughhouses with him a little bit, and you can clearly see he's helping him in that by toughening him up, giving him a little tough love in that moment. I really loved the fact that I personally started thinking about my own life when I was a kid, my childhood, thinking about discovering those things about myself, my parents, their relationship, my relationship with my friends and how I fit with that. So the fact that I was asking questions about my own life as I'm watching this movie, it just goes to show that it's very good storytelling, because it invites you into the movie by you start maybe mirroring some of the things that you've seen in these characters. Chiron is exploring his life at this point. He's going through puberty, and he's in high school, and sort of a theme that's kind of presented early in the movie is the fact that he's questioning his sexuality. Now, I think that a lot of us, or all of us, at some point in our youth have that question that we ask. And so this movie does a really beautiful job at presenting that honesty, and it even shows you his exploration in it. And this is something that I think every person can relate to, because let's face it, the world isn't accepting of a lot of people in the LGBTQ community. And so I think that this movie shows you this particular person's journey in his life, facing those sort of questions. And his first real exploration in this first relationship, if you will, or friendship that he's had with Kevin, established in the first act of the movie and persists on into this one. He explores sexuality with this friend, and later in this same part of the movie, he is faced with this moment where I guess the friendship is put into question, and the bully, the antagonist in this part of the movie, is also pushing those buttons. He's trying to egg him on to fight, but he really wants to just beat his ass. And his friend, who essentially becomes more than a friend, actually betrays him. Very simply, he betrays him. And in a moment where he could have maybe stood next to him and fought along with him, he fights him and he embarrasses him. And it almost feels like his masculinity's taken away, But he's very resilient, and it definitely shows a strong character in this guy. This movie shows you someone who has to face a question and situations where not a lot of people would be true to themselves and face these things, despite the fact that they're being probably outnumbered or there's no one on his side. So a character we're introduced to early on is the mom, and we see her with a stable job, possibly a nurse, but definitely already abusing drugs. She sells the TV. There's a scene where possibly we're introduced to the idea that she's whoring herself out to pay for these drugs, or possibly in exchange for drugs. So Chiron, early on, knows that this is a problem that his mom's probably going to face for the rest of his life. As a teenager, Kevin basically helps him explore his sexuality, and it's something that definitely continues on into the next part of his life. It's definitely something that's very personal to this character, and the fact that we're shown this is, I think, very good story writing. I mean, it's amazing that we're shown the scene, the sex scene, basically, and not necessarily in a dirty way, but in just such a intimate way. It's very intimate. Clearly, we're shown from the back, and they're cuddling, and there's some things that are happening in the scene that are very personal. I mean, the drive back home, they share that long ride home, and it's just, you don't know what's going to happen next. I really enjoyed that we go along for this ride in this person's life. I think that the fact that it was very inviting makes it a really an Oscar-winning picture. I couldn't find any flaws in this movie. I'm not professionally trained to see these things, but I just didn't really see anything that was wrong with it. Even the silent moments, the pacing of it, there wasn't a lot of action. There was more conversations that happened in this movie than anything else, and these conversations were so deep. Sometimes they didn't use a lot of words to evoke, without many words, what the purpose of these conversations were and what was revealed through these conversations. So because of all these things, guys, I'm going to give this movie an A+. I think it does a beautiful job at not only having us explore this person's life, but inviting us to look at ourselves and just reflect maybe back on your own life and think about yourself in regards to his own personal journey and these things that he faces. All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this movie. Did you see any flaws in it? And also, check out the review for Officer Down. Link is in the description below. Till next time.